This was yesterday in the House Transportation Committee. Representative Stephanie Mickelson, has this bill that will set up a system where you have electronic on your phone. You have your driver's license on your phone, your ID. That way, if you get pulled over by police, you can present your phone, and they have an app on their phone, and they tap it or whatever, and they can verify your information. And so, sure. I mean, is that the way our society is going? It sounds like that way, but there's still a lot of great questions that are to be had about this. And a lot of those came from Representative Kyle Harris, who's on that committee. So let's watch this exchange.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Nicholson, on page 6, line 36 to 38, you mentioned that this would not be used for voting or whatnot, but it says clearly at the end there that it shall be capable of being displayed on a wireless communication device and shall be deemed a valid driver's license for all purposes under Idaho code. So technically, by that statement, my assumption would be that they could use this as an ID to vote, if that's the way it's written, correct?
Representative Mickelson, if you want to explain.
Mr. Chairman and Representative Harris, actually what happened is when we came with the fix for that, I think we were all a little asleep that afternoon, but because this bill had passed, I requested a hearing on this one, but I think Representative Petsky has a solution for that very problem, because I want to make people feel very good and secure about that.
You can go ahead and talk about the amendment if you'd like that you were going to request.
Yeah, so the amendment that we have a motion for and we're going to request is simply that when you're voting that you're required to carry your plastic paper copy, that the mobile driver's license will not be a form of identification for voting.
Did you have another question, Representative Harris?
I do have another question, Mr. Chair. Thank you. On same page, line 42, it says a person or entity that seeks to view an individual's electronic driver's license for identity or age verification purposes shall access only the identity elements necessary for the transaction or purpose prompting the request through the authenticator that validates these elements against digital trust services. So are we now require businesses that take ID, like gun shops or bars or any of these places, are we going to require them to have an app if somebody's not carrying their real ID? Do they just turn away the customer, or are they going to have to pay to download some app to scan these new digital IDs?
Representative Nicholson.
Mr. Chairman and Representative Harris, actually the apps to read that and to get that information are 100% free. So they're
Okay, we can jump out of this because they lost sight of the question here, Allman. The fact that the app is free. Like, I don't care about the app, but like if people are expecting this digital ID to work, and you go to a bar or you go to a convenience store or something where you're required to show your ID for something, and they don't have the app or they don't have the device, or you're at a county fair and they don't have those things set up, can they just deny you? I mean, this is. I think we're still in the baby stages of these digital ID passport type things. I'm not a huge fan of it right now, especially when we heard a question later that I'll get your take on. But where are you sitting right now with this?
I'm going to take a slightly contrary position to a lot of conservatives on this. I think this is inevitable, and it's also convenient.
It is too.
So the question is, how do we do it right? Because already. I have my phone, and I can take this to, say, the grocery store or to McDonald's or to, a bunch of other places, coffee shops, and pay with payment methods that are stored on the phone. I don't have to whip out my credit card. And in fact, the, Apple Pay or Android Pay or Google Pay, whatever it is, in some ways, it's actually more secure than swiping a credit card used to be. You used to swipe it and it would literally just transmit your credit card number to the merchant. Whereas on the phone, it transmits a hashed code of your number that then the other side can verify with your bank. So it's actually a more secure transaction. Now, a lot of people are still nervous about that, and they prefer to use physical cards, and that's fine. I believe moving to some sort of digital ID is probably inevitable. So how do we make sure it's done right? Doing some sort of pilot program might be reasonable. Of course, like you said, what do you do if you're going to prove your age at a bar or something and they don't have the right thing? That's the sort of things that we need, I guess, to beta test to figure out where those incongruities and those that friction is going to be. But yeah, we should be very careful about it. But it's something that's coming. It's the sort of thing that'll probably be commonplace in another decade.
Yeah, perhaps. We don't have the clip, but there was a representative that said, what if you have a suspended license? Will that appear on your digital, And she actually said, actually, yeah, it's better. It'll pop right up. It says that your license is suspended and there's nothing you can, and I'm just in like, oh, great. And then when the social credit scores kick in and the ESG stuff kicks in and the government says you're not allowed to do that, they can just shut off your digital ID and we, oh yeah, you don't, I mean, look, this is the path that everybody's afraid of when you have, when the government has full control of what's on your own phone, with your identification. So we'll have to keep tabs on that, Alman. But you're right. Something like this is inevitable, and we just need to get it right.